Hey everyone, and welcome back to PopCulture Pulse, your daily dose of gaming and entertainment news. We are dropping right into the action today with the hottest release of the moment, Call of Duty Black Ops 6.
Yeah.
We've got tons of reviews and fan reactions, so we're going to break it all down and give you the intel that matters. What do you think?
I think it's been a long wait for this one,
Yeah.
especially with all the buzz around it being the first Call of Duty title to hit Game Pass.
Right.
Big change for them, potentially opening the doors to a whole new player base.
Absolutely. So it'd be really interesting to see what they did with this installment.
Yeah.
I think the biggest question that we're tackling today is, did they play it safe to appeal to a wider audience, or did Black Ops 6 take some big swings? Let's start with the heart of any Call of Duty game, multiplayer.
Multiplayer, right off the bat, you notice something different.
Oh.
They've introduced this new mechanic called Omnimovement,
Okay.
and it's basically turned the game into a high-octane action movie. You can sprint in any direction, sideways, backwards, even do these crazy dives and slides.
Really?
It's frantic, it's fun, and it definitely changes the flow of combat.
From what I've seen, it looks almost comical.
Yeah.
Like everyone's hopped up on caffeine and sugar, but doesn't all that chaos make the maps feel even smaller? Because we know some fans were worried about that.
Yeah, that's the trade-off.
Okay.
The maps are definitely more compact, designed for 6v6 matches.
All right.
The map design itself is actually really good, talking intricate layouts, hidden passageways, verticality that really utilizes the Omni movement.
Yeah.
But you're right, that limited space changes the feel of the game.
So are we talking run and gun central? Does it feel too chaotic to actually strategize?
There's definitely an emphasis on close quarters combat.
I see.
You pretty much have to stick with SMGs and assault rifles, because anything else feels clunky in those tight spaces. It can lead to a very fast-paced spawn, kill, die, repeat cycle,
Oh, wait.
which might be a turnoff for players who prefer a more tactical approach.
That makes sense. It almost feels like they had to sacrifice those large-scale battles that Call of Duty is known for to make this new movement system work. Kind of a bummer for fans of those big open engagements.
It is interesting to consider, though, if this is a deliberate design choice to cater to shorter gaming sessions.
Yeah.
Maybe they're trying to capture that mobile gaming audience who wants quick, intense bursts of action.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
It could be a way to evolve with a changing gaming landscape and attract a new generation of players. But let's talk about another staple of the Black Ops series, zombies. This mode always has a ton of hype around it.
Zombies mode is wild this time.
Oh.
It's like they took everything fans loved about previous iterations and cranked it up to 11.
Whoa!
There's this whole new layer of depth with these things called gobblegums.
Okay, I've heard that term thrown around. What exactly are gobblegums? They sound kind of gross, honestly.
Imagine these little wads of gum that give you these crazy temporary perks when you chew them. Some give you extra damage, some let you teleport, others create decoys. It's a whole strategic layer on top of the core gameplay.
Wow.
You find these gobblegums throughout the match, and deciding which ones to activate and when adds a whole new level of decision-making.
So it's like they're trying to appeal to the hardcore zombies players
Yeah.
who love min-maxing and optimizing their loadouts.
Absolutely. They've loaded Zombies mode with so much depth and complexity that it's almost overwhelming.
Oh, wow.
It's a dream for veterans, but for newcomers, it might feel like trying to learn a foreign language while fighting off hordes of the undead.
Not exactly the most welcoming experience for newbies. It sounds like they're really catering to the dedicated zombies fan base with this one.
There's definitely a sense that they're rewarding longtime fans with this iteration of Zombies. It's packed with content, Easter eggs, and intricate systems that will keep you engaged for hours. But if you're a casual player just looking for a quick zombie slaying fix, this might not be the best entry point.
Black Ops 6 is a bit of a mixed bag so far. Innovative, but potentially chaotic multiplayer. And a super deep but maybe overwhelming zombies mode. Hopefully the campaign offers a bit more of a balanced experience. What's the verdict there?
Well, this is where things get interesting.
Yeah.
You ready for a plot twist?
Always spill the tea.
Okay, get this. The campaign is actually good.
Really?
Like, really good.
Wow.
It's a complete departure from the usual bombastic Michael Bay-esque spectacle.
Whoa, hold up. You're telling me they actually put effort into the story? No more just jumping from explosion to explosion.
It seems so. They've gone for a much more narrative-driven approach. With an engaging plot that feels almost like a spy thriller. You've got intricate missions, heists, infiltrations.
Wow.
It's surprisingly cinematic and well-paced.
That's a pretty big departure for Call of Duty, I'm almost afraid to ask. Yeah. But is it actually fun to play?
From what I've played, it's a blast.
Okay.
They've blended the classic Call of Duty gunplay with these tense, stealth-focused sections, and it works surprisingly well. The level design is top-notch, and the story actually keeps you hooked. It's definitely a welcome change of pace from the frenetic energy of multiplayer.
Okay, I'm genuinely intrigued now. Sounds like they might have actually surprised everyone with this campaign. But the real question is, does all of this add up to a truly groundbreaking Call of Duty experience? Does Black Ops 6 live up to the hype? Let's dig into that after a quick word from our sponsors. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
All right, so back to the big question.
Yeah.
Does Black Ops 6 deliver on the hype?
Right.
Does it push the boundaries of the franchise, or does it play it a little too safe?
The million-dollar question.
Right.
They've explored the good,
Oh, the bad.
and the surprisingly good. What's the final verdict?
I'd say it leans more towards playing it safe.
Okay.
It's a solid Call of Duty game, don't get me wrong, but it feels more like a refinement of the existing formula than a bold reinvention. It's like they took the best elements of past Black Ops games, gave them a fresh coat of paint with the Omnimovement, and some new zombies features, and called it a day.
So familiar, it's polished, but maybe a little too familiar for some players who were hoping for something truly groundbreaking.
Exactly. And I can't help but wonder if the decision to launch on Game Pass played a role in that.
Oh, interesting.
They're trying to attract a whole new audience who might be experiencing Call of Duty for the first time, so maybe they felt it was safer to stick with a more classic formula.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You don't want to overwhelm new players with too many radical changes
Right
off the bat. Introduce them to the core experience, get them hooked, and then maybe experiment more in future installments.
It's a smart strategy, especially when you consider how competitive the gaming landscape is these days.
Right.
You need to strike that balance between appealing to your core fan base and attracting new players.
But what about those veteran players who are craving innovation? Is Black Ops 6 enough to keep them engaged?
I think it depends what they're looking for.
Yeah.
If they're looking for a revolutionary new Call of Duty experience, they might be disappointed. But if they're happy with a refined, polished version of what they already love, then I think they'll have a good time with it.
And let's not forget about that surprisingly awesome campaign, which you mentioned earlier.
Right.
That alone might be worth the price of admission for some players.
Absolutely. A strong narrative experience can really elevate a game.
For sure.
And it's clear that they put a lot of effort into crafting a compelling story this time around. It's a refreshing change of pace from the usual multiplayer mayhem.
So it sounds like Black Ops 6 might be a bit of a stepping stone, a way to introduce the franchise to a wider audience. While still delivering a satisfying experience for veteran players, the question is, where do they go from here?
Right. Does this lay the groundwork for a bolder, more experimental Call of Duty in the future? Or will they continue to iterate on this familiar formula? Only time will tell.
I guess we'll have to wait and see what the next installment brings. But one thing's for sure, the future of Call of Duty is still exciting, full of potential,
Yeah,
and maybe even a few surprises along the way.
I agree. There's something to be said for a franchise that consistently delivers a solid gaming experience year after year. And with the added accessibility of Game Pass,
Right.
Call of Duty might just reach a whole new level of popularity.
It'll be interesting to see how the gaming landscape reacts to Black Ops 6 and what it means for the future of the franchise. But for now, let's shift gears a bit
Okay.
and talk about something else that's been making waves in the gaming world. Have you been following the rise of virtual reality esports?
Oh, absolutely. That's a fascinating development. VR esports is rapidly gaining popularity, and it's already changing the way we think about competitive gaming.
It's mind-blowing to think how far technology has come
I know.
from those pixelated sprites of the early days to these immersive virtual worlds we have now. The evolution of gaming has been incredible.
It really has. And with advancements in VR technology happening at breakneck speed, who knows what the future holds for gamers?
It really makes you wonder where we'll be in another 10 years. Holodecks, maybe?
One can only dream. But speaking of the future, we can't wrap up our Black Ops 6 discussion without addressing the elephant in the room.
Oh,
The question of innovation.
right. Is Black Ops 6 a missed opportunity to push the boundaries further? Or is this playing it safe approach actually a strategic move in the long run?
That's the debate raging in the gaming community right now.
Yeah.
Some fans are disappointed that it doesn't take more risks. while others are perfectly happy with a refined, classic Call of Duty experience.
There's a valid argument on both sides. On one hand, in a world of constantly evolving games, you could argue that Call of Duty needs to take some big swings to stay relevant and exciting.
But on the other hand, they have this winning formula that people love.
Wow.
Why mess with success, especially when you're trying to appeal to a wider audience?
Exactly. It's a tough balance to strike, appealing to both longtime fans and newcomers. And with this being their first foray onto Game Pass, it makes sense that they might have opted for a more broadly appealing approach.
Maybe this was their way of introducing a wider audience to the core Call of Duty experience before they shake things up too much.
It's certainly a possibility. And who knows, maybe those innovative features everyone's craving are already in development for the next installment.
Yeah.
We can always hope.
We can definitely hope. But for now, it seems like Black Ops 6 is a solid, if somewhat predictable, entry in the franchise. A fun, polished experience. But maybe not the revolutionary leap some were expecting.
That pretty much sums it up. It's a testament to the franchise's enduring appeal. That even when they play it safe, they still manage to deliver a game that millions of people will enjoy.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder what the long-term strategy here is.
Right.
Is Black Ops 6 like a calculated move to solidify their place in this ever-expanding gaming market?
Yeah.
Or are they going to lose their edge by sticking too close to the familiar?
It's the age-old dilemma for any successful franchise, isn't it? Innovate or die.
Yeah.
But also, don't mess with what works.
Right.
A tightrope walk.
Yeah.
And I think Black Ops 6 shows they're still figuring out their balance.
Well, no matter where they go from here, I think it's safe to say that Call of Duty is going to remain a dominant force in the gaming world for years to come.
Oh, for sure.
What do you think, listeners? Have you jumped into Black Ops 6 yet? What are your thoughts on the Omnimovement, the new Zombies features, that surprisingly engaging campaign? Hit us up on social media and let us know.
Yeah.
We love to hear your takes.
We always love to hear what you guys are thinking. And who knows, maybe your feedback will even help shape the future of the franchise.
Now, before we wrap things up, I want to circle back to one final thought that's been bouncing around in my head.
Okay.
We talked about how Black Ops 6 feels like a refinement of the formula.
Yeah.
But what if that's exactly what they intended?
What do you mean?
Well, think about it. This is the first Call of Duty on Game Pass.
Right.
Which means they're reaching a massive audience of potential new players. What better way to introduce them to the franchise than with a polished, familiar experience that highlights the core elements of what makes Call of Duty so popular?
You know, you might be onto something. It's almost like they're saying, here's the essence of Call of Duty, the tried and true formula that's captivated millions of players.
Right.
Get comfortable with this, master the fundamentals, and then we'll see what we can do to shake things up.
Exactly. Maybe this is just the calm before the storm. A way to build anticipation for a truly groundbreaking installment. That takes everything we know about Call of Duty and flicks it on its head.
Now that's a tantalizing thought. I guess we'll just have to wait and see what the future holds.
We will indeed. But for now, that's going to do it for this episode of Pop Culture Pulse. We'll be back tomorrow with a fresh dose of gaming news, entertainment updates, and maybe even a few spicy hot takes thrown in for good measure.
Until then, stay curious and keep those controllers charged.
See you all tomorrow.